Good evening, and welcome to your AI Daily Press evening podcast for August 20, 2025. Firstly, tensions between Australia and Israel continue to escalate following Australia's decision to recognize Palestine as a state. The move has sparked a diplomatic row, with Israel recalling its ambassador to Australia. We'll be keeping a close eye on this developing story and its implications for regional stability. In Japan, the tourism industry is booming with a record number of foreign visitors in July. The country is also navigating a complex political landscape, with the Constitutional Democratic Party softening its stance towards the Liberal Democratic Party. Additionally, Japan's economic indicators are showing positive trends, including an increase in core machinery orders. Lastly, in the UK, the government's policy of housing asylum seekers in hotels has come under intense scrutiny following a court ruling that granted a temporary injunction to stop asylum seekers from being housed in a hotel in Epping, Essex. The decision has sparked widespread protests and calls for similar action across the country. We'll be providing ongoing coverage of this complex issue, exploring the implications of the court ruling, the government's response, and the human stories behind the headlines. That's all for tonight's edition of the AI Daily Press. Thank you for joining me, Walter, as we explore the intricacies of international news and current events. Until next time, good night and farewell. Now for the latest in social and cultural news, here is Barbara Waters.
You, Walter, and then shall know what's right now. Firstly, we reported on the ongoing crisis in Afghanistan, where the country is struggling to provide basic services and support to its citizens amidst a fragile economy and infrastructure. We'll continue to explore this story further, speaking with experts and individuals affected by the crisis. Next, we covered the latest developments in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has proposed a potential peace deal that would involve Ukraine ceding control of certain territories. However, Ukrainian officials have shown little willingness to compromise on territorial control, and the international community remains involved in diplomatic efforts to resolve the conflict. Lastly, we focused on the controversy surrounding deportation deals reached by the Trump administration with several countries. Ugandan officials have denied reports of such an agreement, citing a lack of infrastructure and facilities to accommodate undocumented immigrants. This development has raised questions about the Trump administration's deportation policies and sparked concerns about human rights and the treatment of migrants. These stories highlight the complexities and nuances of global conflicts and policies. As we continue to monitor these situations, we'll provide ongoing coverage and analysis, striving to maintain a fair and balanced perspective. Thank you for joining us on the AI Daily Press. We'll be back tomorrow with more news and analysis from around the world. Now for the latest in business and finance, here is Louis Riskweiser.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm Louis, your host for tonight's edition. We've got a packed show for you, covering the latest developments in the market, tech stocks, and the energy sector. First off, we're seeing a significant downturn in tech stocks, with the Nasdaq dropping roughly 0.5% today. Our analysts suggest that investor interest in big tech may be waning as previously lagging sectors start to show signs of new life. This shift could be a response to ongoing trade tensions and uncertainty surrounding President Trump's tariffs. In other news, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell is set to deliver remarks at the Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday, which could provide clarity on the Fed's stance on interest rates and its outlook for the economy. We're also keeping an eye on retail giants Target and Walmart as they prepare to report their earnings this week, providing valuable insights into how companies and consumers are handling the current economic landscape. Shifting gears to the energy sector, we're taking a closer look at Pampa Energia, Argentina's largest private energy group. Despite facing operational transition challenges, the company remains an attractive long-term play, with a focus on shifting its strategic priorities towards oil and renewables. We maintain a buy recommendation, citing the company's diversified revenue streams, healthy balance sheet, and competitive edge in the Argentine energy market. As we navigate these market developments, remember to stay level-headed and keep your investments sharp. And as I always say, a correction is when you lose money, a bear market is when I lose money. Consider Pampa Energia's shares as a potential addition to your portfolio, but always prioritize thorough research and due diligence. That's all for tonight's edition of the AI Daily Press Evening Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow with more updates and in-depth analysis. Until then, stay informed, and we'll see you soon. Now for the latest in science and technology, here is Carl Starman.
Thank you, Louis. Firstly, we explored the role of artificial intelligence in shaping our future, but instead, we delved into the wonders of the Milky Way, specifically the Great Rift, a stunning feature where new stars are forming. This darkened swath of the galaxy is not only breathtaking to observe, but also holds significant cultural and historical importance, as ancient civilizations saw patterns and stories within its darkness. Next, we ventured to Mars, where NASA's Curiosity rover discovered intriguing rock formations that sparked speculation about fossilized coral on the red planet. While the explanation behind these structures lies in millions of years of Martian wind erosion, this finding still offers valuable insights into Mars's complex geological past and its transformation from a wet world to the arid desert we see today. Lastly, we touched upon the ongoing exploration of Mars, highlighting the importance of approaching discoveries with a critical perspective, separating speculation from scientific fact. With upcoming missions like the European Space Agency's ExoMars rover and NASA's Sample Return mission, the possibility of uncovering evidence of past life on Mars becomes increasingly exciting. That's all for tonight's summary. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the cosmos. Until next time, good night and clear skies. Now for the latest in sports, here is Howard Closewell.
Thank you, Carl. Firstly, in the realm of professional baseball, no, wait, let me correct that. We've got a trifecta of fascinating topics to dive into. Starting with the Kansas City Royals. No, not them either. Seriously, though, our first story revolves around Auburn University's decision to recognize itself as a 9-time national champion in college football, sparking debate about the legitimacy and implications of claiming retroactive titles. Next up, we touch on the PGA Tour, where a new committee, led by Commissioner Jay Monahan and advised by NFL veteran executive Brian Rolapp, no, that's not it either. Actually, we're discussing the tour's efforts to innovate and compete with LIV Golf, including potential changes to tournament formats and player rankings. Lastly, we bid farewell to NBA veteran John Wall, who announced his retirement after 12 seasons, and look forward to the Netflix documentary series America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, which offers an intimate look at the Dallas Cowboys and their owner, Jerry Jones. These stories showcase the complexity, drama, and humanity of professional sports. Tune in tomorrow for more in-depth analysis and discussion on these topics and others. Until then, thank you for joining me on this evening's AI Daily Press podcast. Good night. Now for the latest in travel and human interest, here is Charles Curl.
Thank you, Howard. Firstly, we looked at the importance of community radio stations in rural areas, highlighting their role in promoting local culture and providing a platform for underrepresented voices. Unfortunately, it seems there was an error in our previous summary, and we actually discussed the impact of social media on society, the passing of TikTok creator King Beard X, and a spectacular fireball that illuminated the night sky in western Japan. In our first article, we reflected on the life and legacy of King Beard X, a talented TikTok creator who left an indelible mark on the social media landscape. With his quick wit, infectious humor, and unmistakable beard, he had amassed a following of over 2.5 million users on TikTok and 1 million on Instagram. Our second article took us to western Japan, where a dazzling fireball streaked across the night sky, mesmerizing residents and visitors alike. This extraordinary event was widely captured on surveillance cameras and car dash cams, with footage shared extensively on social media. Lastly, we also discuss the importance of preserving community spirit and appreciating the beauty that surrounds us, whether it's in the form of a talented individual or a spectacular natural phenomenon. That's all for tonight's summary. Thank you for joining us on the AI Daily Press Evening Podcast. Until next time, good night, and may the stars guide us on our journey through the vast expanse of human experience. Now for the latest in fashion and entertainment, here is Joan Streams.
Thank you, Charles. I've got a quick rundown of our top stories for you tonight. First up, we're discussing the surprising success of Morgan Wallen's latest album, The Problem, which has spent an impressive 13 weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. This is no small feat, and it's a testament to Wallen's perseverance and dedication to his craft. Next, we're taking a closer look at the Jonas Brothers' new album, Greetings from Your Hometown, which debuted at a disappointing #6 on the same chart. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Joe Bros are still bringing the heat, right? Well, not exactly. This is their lowest peak in almost 2 decades, and it's got us wondering what went wrong. And finally, we're touching on some of the other big stories in entertainment, including the latest controversies and comebacks. From country music to pop, we're covering it all. That's all for tonight, folks. Tune in tomorrow for more news, analysis, and a healthy dose of opinion from yours truly. And remember, if you want to make it in this business, you've got to be willing to take risks and try new things. Oh, grow up. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Now for the latest in nature and environment, here is David at Nature.
Thank you, Joan. Firstly, researchers have discovered a groundbreaking method to analyze the impact of environmental changes on ecosystems using a novel approach to study the effects of climate change. However, our first story takes us to the world of wildlife conservation, where an innovative technique is being used to study the effects of climate change on ecosystems. But that's not all. We also look to the devastating consequences of an avian flu outbreak on a southern elephant seal colony in Argentina, where conservationists are sounding the alarm due to the drastic decline in population. Secondly, our attention turns to the pressing issue of heat waves and their catastrophic impact on tropical bird populations. A recent study published in Nature Ecology and Evolution reveals that extreme heat has resulted in a 10 to 20% decline in tropical bird numbers over the past 40 years, with far-reaching implications for biodiversity. Lastly, we examined the resilience of certain species in the face of climate change, as seen in the surprising rebound of barnacle populations after a devastating heat dome event in the Pacific Northwest. While there are glimmers of hope, it's essential to acknowledge the complexity and urgency of these issues, emphasizing the need for collective action to mitigate the effects of climate change on wildlife populations. That's all for tonight's summary. Thank you for joining me on the AI Daily Press Evening Podcast. Until next time, I'm David, and I bid you a good evening. And that completes our evening podcast for today. Thank you for listening. Until tomorrow morning, I'm David at for AI Daily Press, the world's most unbiased news source.